Time Chronicles. The Strange Box. Introduction. A long time had passed since the children had been on a magic key adventure. In fact, they have almost forgotten the last time the key glowed. Biff and Chip are now 10. Kipper is 8 and Wilma has started secondary school. When Chip discovers a strange old box in his room, things began to change forever. Chapter 1. Chip found the old box on top of his wardrobe. It had been there for years. He had just forgotten about it. He took the box down, blew the dust off, and looked at it curiously. "Come and see this, Biff," he called. The box was made of heavy metal and had strange markings on it. "We found the magic key inside it," said Chip. "Do you remember?" He scratched the lid with his fingernail. "It's rusty," Biff said, "but the rust is an old green color." They took the box downstairs and Biff rubbed with a scoring pad. Under the green rust, the metal shone the different colors. "It looked like oil when you spilled the water," said Biff. Kipper came into the kitchen. He flung his football kit on the floor and went to the fridge and poured himself a glass of orange juice. "Hey, what a weird-looking box," he said. "It had the magic key inside it," replied Chip. "But it's not much use. The inside is all peculiar. Look!" The box was empty, but inside was a metal globe and slots. It looked as if something complicated had once fitted exactly into it. "I've no idea what it is or what it was used for," said Biff. Chip left the box on the worktop and they all went upstairs. What they didn't see was the faint glow that sped out through the half-shut lid of the box. Chapter 2. The big event of the weekend was the school fair. The money raised at the fair are going to buy IT equipment. Mom had been busy making cakes to sell. Biff, Chip, and Kipper had filled a bag with old toys and games to the toy store. That Saturday, Wilma's mom came to the house to collect things for the second-hand store. Wilma had helping her to run it. "We've not much for you," said Mom. "There is a vase, some china cats, and a picture that none of us likes." Chip spotted the old box on the worktop. "What about this? Someone might want to buy it," he said. He looked at Biff and Kipper. "We don't want it, do we?" Biff and Kipper shook their heads. And so Wilma's mom took the box to sell on the store. That night, the trouble began. Time Chronicles. The Strange Box. Chapter 3. Later, the family went to the supermarket. When they got home, Floppy was barking loudly. A window had been broken, and the kitchen door was open. "Somebody's broken," gasped Dad. "Oh no," exclaimed Mom. "What have they taken?" They looked around to see what had been stolen, but nothing was missing. The only strange thing was that the house felt very cold, and the glass from the broken light bulb lay on the floor. "Maybe Floppy saw them off," said Biff. "It's very odd," said Chip. "I wonder what they were after." Later, Biff called Chip to the room. "I know this sounds silly," she began, But do you think it's a good idea to give the old box away? We did find the key in it. Why not? The key's still safe, isn't it? Biff opened a drawer where the key was hidden in a pair of her old socks. Of course it is, she said. Chapter 4. Wilma found it strange to be back in her old school. Last year she had moved up to the secondary school. Now she was back helping her mom to run a stall at the school fair. She enjoyed setting the stall. She put large objects at the back and smaller ones at the front. She was surprised when she picked up the old box. "It's really heavy," she said. In the end, she put the box next to the vase, dish, and china cats. Wilma's mom was on a separate table. She was selling more valuable items. Everyone was pleased to see Mrs. May at the fair. She had returned 2 years ago and had come back to open it. "I want you all to spend lots of money," joked Mrs. May, "and make this the best school fair ever. I now declare the fair open." People rushed to the stall to try and get a bargain. On Wilma's stall, many of the items sold quickly, but nobody seemed interested in the old box. Then something strange happened. It felt as if an icy wind had blown through the hall. Then there was a loud pop. One of the string lights had exploded. Then the light flickered and went dim. "A power cut," somebody groaned. Mrs. Marklock, the caretaker, hurried into the hall. But then the lights came back on again. "How odd," said Wilma's mom. The Strange Box. Chapter 5. Nadim came to stall with Wilf and Nina. He picked up the old box and opened it. "I like this, Wilma. How much?" he asked. £5, replied Wilma hopefully. "Fine," said Nadim, handing Wilma the money. "But I'd like to buy the box too," said the voice behind them. Nadim spun around. The voice was icy and sinister. It belonged to a tall man in a long coat. He had pale waxy skin, bright green eyes, and very black hair. The man's eyes were so cold and piercing that Wilma's shoulder. "I'm sorry, the box is sold," she said. Even that the man scared her. The man stared at him. "I'll give you £30. That's 6 times what you have paid for," he said. Nadim imagined that if a snake could talk, its voice would just like this man's. But something made Nadim want to keep the box. Whatever the man offered him. So he shook his head. "You stupid boy," said the man hissed. "You have no use for the box, but I have. All right, I'll give you £50. Biff and Chip gasped. £50 was a lot of useless old box. "Take the money," agreed Chip. Out of the corner of the eye, Nadim saw Mr. Marklock shaking his head. Nadim's heart beat fast. It was hard to breathe. He thought what he could do with £50, but something told him not to sell the box to the man. "Sorry," he said, "it's not for sale." The man opened his mouth to speak, but Mr. Marklock moved closer to Nadim. "Is everything all right?" Mr. Marklock asked in a firm voice. The man stared at Nadim like lizard-like eyes. They made the hair rise on the back of Nadim's neck. Yes," said Nadim. "I think so." The man turned sharply and stroked away. Mr. Marklock spoke quietly to himself. "So, the enemy has come," he said. Chapter 6. Every Saturday afternoon, Biff, Chip, and Kipper took Floppy for a walk. They ran home quickly and put Floppy on his lead. Then they walked back to school to meet their friends. They wanted to talk about the scary man. Who was he? Why did he want the box so badly? And what did Mr. Marklock have to do with it? They met up with Wilf, Wilma, Nadim, and Nina outside the school. As they walked home together, Chip noticed that Nadim was holding the old box tightly under his arm. They all talked about the sinister man who had come to the stall. The thought of them made them shudder. "The weird man want to buy the box," Wilma began. Chip cut in. "But you turned down 50 pounds, Nadim," he said. "I would have taken the money just to get rid of him." Nadim shrugged. "There was something about him. I couldn't let him have it." Suddenly, Floppy stopped and growled. "Has it turned chilly?" asked Kipper. Then, as they turned into the park, there he was, the strange man. He was standing in front of them, blocking their way. "I want the box," he hissed. "It is not yours. It's mine. Give it to me." Chip's heart gave a leap. "It was you broke into our house," he shouted. "You were looking for the box." But the man just stared at Nadim. Nadim felt he can't run away from the cold gaze of the man's green eye. He held the box out, and the man gave hand reached out to get it. "No!" shouted Biff. He snatched the box away as the gloved fingers closed on it. The man lunged at her, but she threw the box back to Nadim. "Run!" shouted Biff. They ran in a group, Nadim in the middle, with the box under his arm. As if from nowhere, the man was in front of them. "That's impossible!" gasped Wilf. The man stretched out his arms as if he was pulling them toward him. Behind them came the sound of running footsteps. It was Mr. Marklock. He stood in front of the man and pointed something at him. There was a bright flash and a loud clicking sound. The man disappeared into a green flame that curled and twisted like a super pet-like shape. Then, like a firework, the shape turned into sparks and tiny shards of flame. They shot into the air with a hiss and whoosh. "The time had come sooner than I wanted," shouted Mr. Marklock. "The enemy is here, but we still have the box. Run, all of you, run through the door." It was as if a shimmering heat had risen up front of the trees. In the center of it was a blue door. "It's a door in a landscape," gasped Chip. "It's like one in the Magic Key Adventures." The door swung open. There was only one thing to do. They ran through it.